Hey guys, Gary J. And what we're doing today is putting on the fletching for our Atlatl darts. And there are different ways that you can do this. But one, you got to have the feathers. A lot of times you'll get a whole feather like this one right here. And what they'll do is just take a pair of scissors and cut off one whole side of the feathers right here. And then they'll take and cut the quill right here in half. And what that leaves you is a feather like this right here. It's been cut like that. And they kind of scrape it flat. So instead of, these quills are pretty hard, so they'd be hard to cut through the center. But anyway, like on this one right here, you can cut them however you want to, but the length on these, this is a 7-foot dart, so the dart itself has to be, you want at least 8.5 inch feather on it. This one's like 9.5 inches long. And what you do with these feathers, like here's one here. If you look at the end right here, you're going to end up having to cut off at least a little bit of that so that the quill sticks out right here, because you're going to be wrapping this quill down with a artificial sinew. This is wax artificial sinew. And so you're going to be wrapping this right here. And you'll be doing the same thing on this end right here too. But you want them all the same length. So you'll have to measure them and get them the same length that you make sure all three are the same length. That's the main thing. So one of these feathers, like here's some more. One of these feathers may be shorter than the other. So you find the shortest one and then cut that one to the appropriate size. And once you cut that one to the appropriate size, then use that for your master as far as measuring it and making sure all the others are just like it. But you got to have this end right here so that you can wrap it. And again, on the other side right here, you got to do the same thing. When you cut that, just pull that loose. And this way you can wrap the front of it. And see, it would, on the back end right here, I put a little mark right here. Some say go like 1.5 inches from the end right here. I'm going by my original one. And so that like 2.25 inches right there. That's how far I'm going down with the back of the feather right here. It'll go right here like that. Okay. And eventually it'll look like this right here. You see where I'm at right here, and I got this wrapping right here. And wraps in between the feathers. You just pull it in between the feathers to wrap these quills. So this is holding the quill down. You wrap that pretty tight, and right here, you're wrapping real tight this end right here where my finger is, so that this is holding your quill in place. Now when you start wrapping this to begin with, you wrap the front here first, and then you can still adjust your feathers. Now, like one feather is going to be like 12 o'clock. Let's see if I can show you. The thing is so long. See, one feather here is going to be like 12 o'clock. This feather is probably like 4 o'clock. And this is probably like 8 o'clock position right here. If I can get that in. See, this is 12 o'clock right here position. This is probably like 8 o'clock. This is like 4 o'clock. So, kind of like on a regular arrow for a bow. Again, this fletching, these 7-foot darts or 5-foot darts, whatever, these fletchings are not going to make them spin. They're not going to spin in the air like an arrow. These darts don't do that. These darts may make a little bit of a turn, but it's going to be very minimal if they make any turn at all. And a lot of times guys will put on the feathers straight in a line. They won't put that little turn in it like you do with a fletching on your arrows for your bow. Now I've got a little device for my fletching for my arrows for my bows, and you put the fletching in this little device, little plastic device, and it holds all 3 fletchings perfectly, and then you super glue the bottom of them, and then you clamp those things down. They come down with the fletching onto the arrow itself, and it's perfect. And you just let it sit there for a few minutes until that glue dries, like super glue, and it's pretty amazing. But here you kind of have to eyeball it, okay? So it doesn't matter if you put these on straight or put them on a tiny angle or a little bit of an angle, but it's not going to spin. These things, they flex in the air. From the front and the back, they flex, and that's what gives them kind of accuracy. So what I was trying to do is show you a little bit of how you do that. Again, now, since I did this one right here, I'm going to make all the others exactly like this one. And that's the thing you want to do. Make sure you got everything as identical as you can. Otherwise, your darts could throw differently. Okay, so my feathers will start at the line that I made here, about 2¼ inches from the end right here. I've got a mark right here where my feathers will end at, and where the wrapping will be too. So it should be identical to this one when I get through with it. And my feather length, again, sometimes the feather lengths may be a little bit different. If you buy like the 3 dart kit, and they'll come with the feathers, you may want to sit down and measure all your feathers out. You don't have to do that, but find the shortest one and then make all the others just like it. Okay. Otherwise, you may have one set of feathers on one dart that's inch longer or whatever. And again, like most time right here, I kind of like this look a little bit. You can steam this right here with like a tea kettle steam, and you can smooth these out. But most people will cut them at an angle like this right here and make them look like more professional. But I kind of like this design more, the original design to me. But do it any way you want to. And so you probably need about 5 feet of your artificial sinew. This stuff is waxed, and this is so tough that you can't pull it apart with your hands. And I think it's about, this is like, I forgot what it's over 300 feet. That's a lot. It's like probably $14, $15 for the sinew. So and you can use this for your points, spear points, and everything else for darts and arrows and primitive hunting stuff. And it's just real good. And great deal for the money. You get a lot of this stuff here. And for our points, this is our hollow field point right here. And the glue that I use is this stick glue right here for the points. And this stuff is hard as a rock. You use a propane torch or any kind of heating device, cigarette lighter, whatever, candle. They heat this up, until it starts melting on the end right here. And this is called the Fur L tight glue, Ferr. You can read that. But that's the kind of glue. And when you take this glue right here and melt it onto the shaft of your dart, this is, you see how it tapers right here, and you put a copious amount of that glue, that hard glue on here, and it'll set real quick. So you put a good bit of it on here. If it sets before you get through getting enough on here, then just stick this over the flame and it'll heat up that glue again, and take your fill point and heat that up. That gets rid of any moisture that might be inside of it. And you take a pair of pliers, because this thing may be hot when you heat it up. And this glue right here, while it's still sticky and all, you're going to take your point and slide it over there. Make sure you have a good amount of glue on that, and then twist it with a pair of pliers, and make about 2 or 3 turns or so, twisting this on real tight. And it's really amazed me that on some of these targets I've hit, I pull with all my strength to get this tip off, and it doesn't come off in the wood. If it did come off in the wood targets that I throw at sometimes, then I just have to cut this out of the wood target. But it works real good. That glue is just awesome. So, I stained this. It was like white, like that feather. So I stained this right here. Now, what I'm going to do is that I got these twist ties right here, like bread twist ties. And I want to line my feathers up. And when I line them up, you could use tape or something like that too, but I'm going to twist tie them to hold the feather in place. And then that'll give me a chance to start using the artificial sinew or string there, start wrapping. Okay, guys, you see the quill right here is sticking out, and I've got this bread tie basically holding the end of the quill on here. And on the back right here, we've got a bread tie holding the quill here too. You can probably see the end of the quill right here. So that's kind of what you're going to be doing with the sinew, is that when you begin to wrap this right here, and again, when you first start wrapping this, it's going to hold the front right here first, and you can still move the feathers around. When you first start to wrap this with the artificial sinew, and this right here is just holding it in place temporarily until you can get started on the front right here. And once you get started right here, just this part right here, then you can move these around to the like 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock position. And you'll see how it works. Once you get this done, then you'll start wrapping between the feathers here. You just open them up and tie it down. And just spiral all the way up to the end, and then go over the end right here and wrap the end of the feathers, and do that fairly tight. Now, like this right here, I put Gorilla Glue. You can buy it in a bottle, and that stuff it's not like super glue that after you use it dries up at the top. It doesn't do that. So I got a bottle of that stuff, Gorilla Glue, and I put that over here. Just make sure that none of these threads come loose on the artificial sinew. And then this white line right here, you have that on one side of the feather only. I glued that right there with the Gorilla Glue all the way across. And here's the white line on the other side, did the same with that. A white line on the other feather, did the same thing with that. And that helps keep and ensure that the quill stays on the dart. And this, of course, keeps it from coming loose too when it hits the ground. It's got some little scrape marks right here. But that's what you're after. Now I just wrap this sinew around here, and I've got a mark on this shaft right here so I know about where it's supposed to be. And I'm just going to tie a simple knot, square knot. And I cut off a section of this right here about 6 feet long. I'd rather have too much than not enough. You don't want to run out. And then you just support the point end of your shaft, and that way you can just rotate it around. You want to get in front of that quill too. Actually, in this position right here, it's going to be easier to do it this way. And I'm just rotating this shaft. I've got a cardboard box on the other end holding it in place. Or you could put a hole in a cardboard box and put the point in there. Kind of at an awkward position for this camera, so I'm sorry to get out of the view here. And pull that, because this is wax, so it'll pull tight. And now you want to start going through your feathers. Then we don't need this tie-in anymore. Okay. Now this would be a good place to start right here. It's already opened up. And just pull that down. We'll get it started. And see this next feather, it's already opened up. And so we just open this up right here. Now what we need to do, what we need to do now is check our feathers and make sure they're at 12, 4 in 8 o'clock position. So this is on here, but it's not tight. It's slippery with the wax on it. So therefore I can adjust my feathers so they're center shaft. And that's center shaft. And this one, center shaft. You see what I'm talking about? Center shaft right here. Should have as much view on each side right here. That looks good there. And sometimes the feathers here will be wavy and it'll kind of throw you off a little bit, but I can tell this one is not quite centered. That looks center there, but let's see what it looks like here. I can tell it's not quite at that 4 o'clock position that I want. Let's work. That one's good now. This might. I mean, it doesn't take much pressure here to twist this to that 12, 8, and 4 position. Okay. Yeah, that's it right there. You probably can't see it from this angle, but that's the angle we want. And like wrapping this quill here. I need a better camera system, I think. If you keep your thumb here, where my thumb is right here, and wrap, it'll push these feathers out of the way so that they don't get in your way. I'm going to pull that a little bit tight too, now I'm just going to do a little square knot. There are other knots you can use, but I'm going to put some glue over this anyway, so I mean, it don't really matter. And the square knot is pretty much what you're going to use when you're sewing somebody up in the ER or something like that. Use a square knot. You go one way, and then you go the other. And so this is, pull it tight. Now, man, this thing is so long. You see how this looks right now, right? It looks fairly decent, I think, you know. And you look over it again, because you can still maneuver these feathers if they're not right. If they're twisted or something, it's like that. Ooh. Okay, once you know your feathers are on here right, the next thing would be check your string right here and make sure it's not pushing down on some of these feathers. It could be pushing down on the feathers like it's right here and causing them to bend down like that. To make sure these are flat against the quill and not pushing on the feathers. You can see how the feathers open up everywhere there's the sinew goes through here. That's kind of normal. So I'm just looking. This part right here, we'll glue it super glue. And I'll cut this string off and tie the knot in. When you glue that with super glue, this white line right here, we'll use super glue across this right here. Flip it over, down through here we'll use the super glue. And on the other one we'll use super glue down through here too. You just glue one side, and that helps ensure that the arrow not only is tied down by the quill, but it is super glued all the way across too. So that's looking pretty good there. Okay guys, I just glued this with that Gorilla Glue. You can see how glossy it is right here. And just like this white part right here, you just go one line all the way down the white right here, just on one side. I glued this up here to hold the quills down. And then one line right here, glue. And then one line of glue here. And that's all you're gluing on the fletching and stuff. And that should hold it. So, next project. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is to put on our field point. Remember, that's hollow. And that goes over our spear point right here. And this is the glue that we're using. And that's Fletching tight glue. It's hard plastic. So we're going to use that to put on the tip here, and we're going to screw this on right here. This glue sets really fast, so you have to kind of do it in a hurry. And one way to do this pretty quick. Use our blowtorch right here. One thing you want to do is take your field point right here and heat it up. You don't want any moisture inside, just right here. And you don't want to heat this up too hot either. It won't take long. Hold this up. It's starting to drip. You can see it going on there. Well, you want to put that on kind of liberally, so I don't know if this field point's hot or not, but we're going to find out. And you rotate it. Okay. And after you rotate it, then you sack down it and make sure point it straight. See, this right here is cooled down already. That's still hot. Now, if for some reason it doesn't look straight enough too, you can put it back in the flame and heat that point up. So it didn't look perfect to me. Yeah. Okay, that looks straight now, but you got to sight down it. I looked at one of those little propane bottle systems where you the nozzle you just click on and you just press, you know, you got a little lever, you press thing, and it kicks on automatically. You don't have to use a cigarette lighter or anything like that. Well, that's our point right there. So this arrow's pretty much done, except for making it look like our other arrow. Okay, I just wanted to show you real quick too. You see how we have these rings right here that we put on here? And like this one right here. This has got dirt on it from throwing it the other day. But you can decorate your darts any way you want to. And it's real easy to put these rings on. You just take your torch again. You just kind of line it up right here. And just rotate it like that. So that's all you're doing to make your rings on your darts, and you can sand that with the coarse steel wool, and it'll ghost it out. It won't look kind of charcoal looking there. But you don't want to burn this very much, but just a little bit of heat will do two things with this kind of wood. And I think this is ash wood right here, and this right here is ash wood. When you put a flame to it, what happens is that the lines through here of the grain and all will pop. They'll stand out a whole lot more once you put a flame to it. And then see right here, it's pretty light, but it makes those grains pop out too. So that's another thing there. And remember, we did this one. There's several modifications on this one. It was in the kit too. So that's all you're doing. And I mean, you can, I got 3 rings down here on these right here, but at the top of the other end, I'm going to put like, I've got 1 ring on the top of close to the feathers on this one. I'm going to put 2 rings on this one. And the next one, the third one, I'm going to put 3 rings at the top. That way I can tell which one is which. One will have one ring, one will have two, one will have three close to the fletching. The reason you want to be able to tell which one is which is because darts, sometimes one will throw better than the other. Otherwise, they look like identical twins or triplets. So that way you'll know which one throws the better for you. They all have their little own personality sometimes. Okay, guys, this is about it right here. This is our finished Atlatl. You can see the same stain on both the dart and the Atlatl and the burnings. So it all goes together. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Gary J.